Hello, hi there. My name is Michelle Wade. I am a licensed clinical social worker working in private practice as a psychotherapist. And I had the inkling of just hopping back on here. I've totally abandoned this channel, but I wanted to just jump back on here briefly to just share my thoughts on the new movie Michael. That just came out in theaters last week. I had the opportunity to watch it last night, and the thoughts are just running in my brain. So I wanted to just see if anyone was interested in hearing that, and if you're interested in hearing from a licensed therapist, thoughts on the movie. So I have some notes here. This will be totally unedited, call it a podcast, whatever you want to call it, but I just have some thoughts, and I'm like, let me share them. So, spoiler alert, spoiler, if I'll probably put that in the caption as well, that if you have not seen the movie, don't watch this because I will be adding some spoilers in here. So my initial thoughts. The movie was great. I think that prior to watching it, a lot of people had thoughts surrounding like, oh, it's a movie that if you've watched the others, like American Dream, and such, that you're not getting any new information. And that is true. You will not get new information. However, you will get more depth of information, and I'll explain that. So in American Dream and those types of, those type of like movies that tell the story of Michael's life, they really shed light on all of the brothers, whereas this one, this biopic with his nephew Jafar Jackson, who did an amazing job. Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson, his father, Nia Long as Catherine Jackson, and then, young Michael as well. All of them. I mean, just hand out the Oscars right now. Like, just give them, like, at this moment, like, right now. Like, don't wait to anything. Just right now. Just go ahead. But they did an amazing job. And the story really shed light on Michael himself versus everyone else. So, like the brothers in the new movie Michael, we see okay, I'll say for myself, I don't even know who was who. Okay, I don't know who was who. I only knew Tito was Tito because he had on a hat later on in the movie. If they didn't tell me that was Tito, I wouldn't know that was Tito. Say what you want, but I didn't know the brothers. Versus in the other movies, we knew who the brothers were. It was more about their lives. I remember like Marlon getting hit, back in the other movies as well. So, yeah, I think that this movie was just about Michael. So they titled it well. It was just about him. Perfect, great. The next thought, I told you, I'm just spewing thoughts. I'm just talking as if I'm talking to you, so take it for how you want. This is not going to be edited. It's what it is. My next thoughts were surrounding neurodivergence. And so I've been seeing online, some people are saying, oh, was Michael neurodivergent? And my thoughts on that are a few things. So yes, the thought did pass my mind as I was watching it of like, oh, he may be autistic. Why? Because of the hypersensitivities, because of his special interests, right? He's really into toys and gaming, animals, like his love and fascination for animals, and then, exotic animals, knowing information. At some points, he was kind of like info dumping a little bit, right? So I think it's very easy to say, oh, he may be autistic. Also, the part about, again, spoilers, in the studio, he asked the Quincy Jones to turn down the lights some. So then, there's also some sensitivities there too with, probably noise and sound. I don't know about noise. I shouldn't say that because there was nothing that really depicted that, but lighting, sensitivity. So makes sense. It's so easy to say, okay, this is what it is. But I think there's another cloth that is also in here, and that cloth is, trauma, right? And so my specialty is actually trauma. I am becoming certified in somatic experiencing, and so if I continue with this channel, I'll talk more about that. But so I do know a lot about trauma, and that is it is depicted here, like, when Michael, anytime he was interacting with his father. And, after the movie, we did, the people I were with, we had a conversation about the fact that he or anyone didn't really call Joe dad. It was just like Joseph. They called him his name. And that's something just to do with trauma. Like if they were calling him Joseph, it's because he wanted them to call him Joseph. That's a no-brainer. But at the same time, there really wasn't a connection there. And of course, he feared him, and we got to witness the shutdown that would often happen. There was a part where Michael walked into his bedroom, and Joe was inside his bedroom. And then, he stood up and walked over to Michael, and then looked at a moment as if he was going to strike him. But, and you can kind of see Michael grip the door handle. So, it just was like, it was just one of those things where he never really, at any, most times he was like walking away, or, he was shutting down, but there wasn't really, thus far, there probably will be a part 2, but there wasn't really a point where he was like, no, Joe, like, no, I'm not, like, like with the vicious and the rage, and that's not Michael either. He was a very soft and very reserved soul. And, he kind of wanted others to like speak up for him. So several times he asked, managers to speak up for him, in that he couldn't. And that happens a lot in trauma, that you don't have a voice for yourself, especially. You can have a voice for others, but not for yourself. It becomes a bit challenging, in that. So those are my thoughts with that. I have just a few notes I jotted down just to see if there was anything else. Also, like, the movement, like, when he was a kid and he kept moving, and they were like, stop moving. Berry Gordy asked him to stop moving. Lorenz Tate played Berry Gordy, and I think he did an amazing job as well. And so he's like, stop moving. Then at one point was like, don't worry about it. And Joseph jumps in and is like, oh, give me 5 minutes with him. Why? So you can beat him? And Berry Gordy's like, no. Berry Gordy did not like Joe Jackson. Berry Gordy was more like of a father to Michael than his own father was. There just was zero connection there. And again, we knew this, so not it wasn't new information, but it was definitely a deeper look into how Michael really made a name for himself, and like how family was still important to him, which can be different because a lot of times in these like traumatic situations, people in Michael's place would or could separate themselves from the rest of the family, right? You didn't protect me. His brothers were everything to him, and mom was still everything to him as well. And I don't want to say that that's unusual, but there can be a time, and I don't know if this happens later on, where the child can become enraged with the parent who sat and just kind of watched. Catherine in the movie anyway would, put her, she would like, shield away. She would look down. She wouldn't really give eye contact. She did stand up to Joe maybe once or twice and said, no more. We're not doing this. And he did, for the movie's sake, he did listen as much as he could. But you know, she really didn't stand up for the boy. She watched the beating. She, you know, was a very, it seems like mild, like she was very like mild mannered, like very, you know, soft-spoken, I should say, maybe. You know, she was very like, okay, like, you know, or, you know, heavily mannered, whatever you want to say. She was very to herself and didn't really want to rock the boat, you could tell. Like, she probably was afraid of him too, but they really didn't get on. I'm pretty sure there was some domestic violence there, and now that I don't remember, you guys can remind me if there was any abuse in American Dream. I don't recall. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts, or my thoughts. Again, just off the top of the head, and just wanted to share that. And see if anybody has any ideas. Thanks for watching.